Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you all an update to my Cardfight Vanguard Liael-Amorta deck profile for post-Moon Fangs and Cerulean Blaze. We got some new cards for the Faded One of Time deck. One of my favorites from the Liael series. I'm definitely more of a Liael-Amorta player than a Liael-Odium player, but we'll definitely be updating Odium as well, so look forward to that. Wanted just to show some of the changes I've made to the deck since the Set 7 release, with some of the changes needed for the Faded One of Time's playstyle of being able to ride into the Faded One of Time from the drop zone and then attack again with your Vanguard, and then the added bind power of being able to bind and call out units of the same name for your rear guards as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. Go ahead and get started with the ride deck. We have the energy generator, with our starter being player of the Oliphant, Belnesta. When you wrote upon this card, if you want second, draw a card. Our grade 1 is player of the lovely harp, Adorphus. When wrote upon by player of the beautiful chord, Elegenia. Soul Blast 1, draw 2 cards, choose 1 normal unit from your hand, discard it. If you do not discard a normal unit, choose 2 cards from your hand and discard them. So just more draw power to also set up cards in the drop zone, with our grade 2 being player of the holy chord, Elegenia. When it's wrote upon by a grade 3 with Liael and its card name, choose any number of normal units from your drop, put them on the bottom of the deck in any order. If you chose 3 or more, draw a card. So just putting back those normal units we set up with the other parts of the ride deck to give us more draw power, with our grade 3 being Faded One of Time, Liael-Amorta, along with the copy that we run in the ride deck. We're running 3 additional copies in the main deck as well. When this unit attacks, counterblast 1, choose 1 of your rear guards, bind it, search your deck for up to 1 card of the same game as that one, call it to rear guard, and shuffle the deck. So it gives you that additional attack with just the same unit as one we bound with this card. And when this unit's put on the guard circle, discard a card from your hand, put 2 cards from the bind zone on the bottom of the deck in any order, choose 1 of your units with Faded One in its card name, and it cannot be hit until the end of that battle. So basically acting as an additional sentinel for the deck, by also being able to recycle back some of the bound cards to use this card's ability for restricting the attack on your opponent's turn. And the divine skill on the Vanguard, at the end of the battle as you attacked, if your opponent's Vanguard's grade 3 or greater, choose a card with the same card name as this unit from your drop. You may ride it as stand. If you rode, that card gets drive -1 until end of turn. So just the added pressure as well of riding the Faded One of Time, Liael-Amorta, from your drop zone onto your Vanguard, being able to then use the attack and bind again with this card, and then also being able to make use of the Sentinel ability, setting up a copy in the drop for you then to call back out onto the Vanguard circle. We're also running 4 copies of Blessed Dragon Gabuelius. Just a very useful card in the deck, because if you bind it with your Vanguard skill and then call it out, you'll be able to make use of Gabuelius' Counterblast to then get drive -1. +10 and gain a drive check, since it was called by the ability of your Vanguard. You can easily make use of this card with that skill, and then the Soul Blast power to check the top card of your deck and put it on the top or bottom of the deck. And if you put it on the bottom, this unit gets +5. So as long as you have the number of Gabuelius to call, you'll be able to make use of that ability each turn. That's why we're running 4, so we always have the shot to then go into the bind and call out an additional copy. For the grade 2s, we're running 4 copies of Sequence Wizard. When it's placed on rearguard during your main phase, if you have a grade 3 grade Vanguard with Liael and its card name, you can counterblast 1 and look at the top 5 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 grade 3 or less unit from among them, call it to rearguard, and shuffle the deck. And when your other unit is bound by your Vanguard's ability, this unit gets +5 until end of turn, and you may soul charge 1, giving you more soul build-up for some of the other cards we run in the deck, but also being able to make use of just setting up more of a board thanks to this card also. We're also running, for the new grade 2 in the deck, 4 copies of Knight of Brightblade, Religiel. When this unit is placed on rearguard, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard Liael and its card name, Soul Blast 1, look at the top 7 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 grade 3 or greater card with Liael and its card name, or up to 1 Blessed Dragon Gabuelius from among them, reveal it, put it in your hand, and shuffle the deck. So giving you search power so we can initially set up that Gabuelius, or give us another Liael-Amorta to then be able to use for the guard power or the Persona Ride power, depending on what we want to use. And on the rear guard during your turn, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard Liael and its card name, this unit gets +5, or if your bind zone has Blessed Dragon Gabuelius, it gets +10 instead. So adding into the benefit of running the Gabuelius as well to bind, giving you a 20k attack unit on its own also. And then we also run the 4 copies of Sword Saint of Ilatarant Idaris. We just wanted to max out the copies of the units that we are binding potentially with our Vanguard to call out more. So we always have the target to go for the bind every time we bind and call out a new additional unit to the rear guard as well. Having the added option with this card also during your turn, if your bind zone is the same card name as this one, it gets +10. And when it's bound from the rear guard during your turn, if you have a grade 3 Vanguard with Liael, so +1, draw a card, choose one of your Vanguards, it gets +5. Powering up our Vanguard with this card's bound ability. For the grade 1s, we're running 4 copies of Magic of Stimulants, Euphoria. When during the battle this unit boosted, if you have a grade 3 Vanguard with Liael, its card name gets +5. And on rear guard, when it boosts a grade 3 Vanguard with Liael, this unit gets +2 till the end of that battle. Soul Blast 1, choose up to 1 card of the same card name as any of your units from the drop, put it onto the bottom of the deck. Choose one of your units, it gets +5. So more recycle power for our units from the drop zone to be able to then also have those cards be potentially called out with another unit we may have bound. For another one of the new grade 1s in set 7, 3 copies of Divine Sister, Koigamon. When it's bound from rear by the ability of your grade 3 Vanguard with Liael, choose one of your units, it gets +5 until end of turn. If you use Divine Skill, this fight, choose up to 2 instead of 1. So the added power, once we make the benefit for our Divine Skill, to be able to give us 2 units with +5 when this one is bound, just to split up the power more and more to make use of. The 2 copies of Swordsman of Twin Stance, Istr, from the back row rear guard. When your other rear guard in the same column as this one is bound by the ability of your grade 3 Vanguard with Liael, stand this unit. So you can provide a boost to the unit that attacks, and when you bound that unit and call a new one, you can at least restand this grade 1 to be able to provide an additional boost thanks to that card also. And then for the rest of the grade 1s, 2 copies of Gragon for the added countercharge power, just when we call something out with the ability of our Vanguard with Divine Skill, retiring it to countercharge 1. And then lastly, the 4 copies of Palladium Zeal Dragon, just the Sentinel choice, aesthetics-wise, for the Liael-Amorta deck. For the trigger lineup, we're going with the 8 critical, just as added pressure for our Vanguard attack, and then the Gabuelius attack on the rear guard. If you wanted to run the critical with the additional put into soul ability, you can do so. And then also the 3 draws for more hand consistency, and then the +5k shield with our protection magic Perobi. And then the heals just being the generic bringer of distant sounds Uranus. If you wanted to run any of the ability triggers, you could try dropping out copies. I just like running the 15k shield option in the deck for the added guarantee for that power, with our over trigger being a Martinoa for the potential drive check power for our rear guard units as well. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoy. It's these smaller decks from the later sets that I definitely do enjoy updating. We have cards like Avantgarda, Eugene, that all get a couple cards here and there that can still be updated with the updated changes we've gotten from those decks as well for sure. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Qualia out.